I got out of bed this morning watching the same footage you probably did of Trump and the trick-or-treaters at the White House. You know, he kind of recreated that scene where he put the candy bar on top of the kid's head in the costume. It was funny because it was like a rewind. Do you remember when Trump's first term, he had a minion come up? And the minion was like this little square, tiny little thing, and he didn't see arms. So he just put the candy bar on top of the kid's head and patted him on the back.
Get him out of here.
It's like, I don't know. This is awkward for me, so he kicked him out. And, it wasn't the most awkward trick-or-treat experience in White House history. No one will ever forget the time that kid asked Biden for a $500,000 bar, and he handed him a bag of Ukrainian cash. But the point is, as we get underway, Trump doing a lot of Trump stuff, including now ordering the Republican Party to use the nuclear option, end the filibuster, and reopen the government. Now, we did not get a quick turnaround. This is not the traditional snaps his fingers and everybody's like, yes, Mr. President, because they're pretty dug in on this. And what the Republicans are concerned about is the long-term implication of ending the filibuster. Because as you know, if this happens, then it will be a lot easier for Democrats to pass legislation. Heaven forbid they get back in office sometime soon. These are things that happened when the late Harry Reid was the Senate Majority Leader, and he had changed that threshold. And lo and behold, what ultimately happened was a boomerang effect that hurt the Democrat Party. So a lot of Republicans are weary of making their own move that'll come back to bite them in the butt, 4 years from now or 8 years from now. I mean, the way the Democrat Party's going right now, are they on the verge of winning the White House?
Not even close.
I don't think so. Okay, but it's something to still be mindful of. The biggest problem the Democrats have right now is everybody who either ran the country horrifically or was on the ballot to replace the people who ran the country horrifically just can't get out of their own way on TV this week. Joe Biden was up in Massachusetts to receive the Edward Kennedy Award, Lifetime Achievement Award. He received that earlier in the week.
I don't remember that ever happening.
But every time Biden comes out in public, okay, the debate comes back up. What did he know? What was left of the guy? What's going on with this closed-door testimony? Don't forget, the White House physician just pled the fifth under oath about whether or not Biden was competent enough to be the president of the United States. The man examining him on a daily basis said no comment. I mean,
what in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Really think about that. Was he fit? Was he cognitively fit to serve? And the White House doctor pled the fifth. No, I'm not going to answer that question. Okay, a no answer, if we're all on the same page here, a no answer is a yes answer. I mean,
Correctamundo.
Okay, and that guy pled the fifth over Biden's cognitive decline.
I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
So you got the Biden thing in the news, but Kamala is also out there promoting the pants off of her new book, Horton Hears a Hoe. And she was basically in a back and forth with Jon Stewart about Biden's cognitive state. And that kicks the hornet's nest and stirs the conversation right back up. Here it is, clip one.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about competence at all. No, I believe he was fully competent to serve.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
That surprises me, actually.
No, I do. There's a distinction to be made between running for president and being president.
What's the distinction?
Well, being a candidate for president of the United States is about being in a marathon at a sprinter's pace, having tomatoes thrown at you every step you take.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's more than a notion.
Get involved in public service, ladies and gentlemen.
And to be the seated president, the sitting president, while doing that, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think it's a hard case to make for people that he didn't have the stamina to run, but he had the stamina to govern. Because I think most people view the presidency as a marathon run at a sprint with tomatoes being thrown at you in terms of governance.
I mean, think about that. Kamala Harris with a straight face says he didn't have the stamina to do 3 months, but he could totally do 4 years. I mean, dude.
Kamala is so stupid.
Do you not understand how insanely dumb that sounds? Yeah, he couldn't do August, September, October. But he could do every August, September, October, as well as the other 9 months for the next 4 years. And there wasn't going to be an issue at all.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
Now, Kamala's in the same spot as KJP. There's no real appetite for them in politics, so they're trying to stay loyal to the one place that employed them. Kamala wants to run in 2028. She doesn't really have any donors at this point. That's why she didn't run for governor of California. She announced she was thinking about it. In politics, that's the power move the bigger candidate makes to force the smaller candidates out of the race. Because if somebody says, well, I'm thinking about running. Okay, like if Donald Trump finished the presidency and he was like, you know what, for my final act in politics, I'm going to be mayor in New York City. I grew up there. I had Trump Tower there. I saved the Woolman Rink. You know, we filmed Celebrity Apprentice there, raised my kids there. I'm going to be mayor in New York City. If Donald Trump announces that, anyone else thinking of running as a mayor gets the hell out of the way if they're a Republican, because they know the fundraising money is going to go his way. That's the point. It's called a power move. But Donald Trump would clear the field because they know he's formidable. Kamala Harris pulled the same move in California. Yeah, I'm thinking about running for governor of California. And everybody was like, so? And that was the end. No donors weren't like, well, you guys better get out of here because we're giving all the money to Kamala. They weren't giving any money to Kamala. So the point is, I get her trying to be brand loyal to Biden now, because if she's going to run again, she's probably going to need some of that Ukrainian cash. I don't know where the hell she's going to get it from. But the point is, no one thinks you're a serious person when you say a guy can't campaign, but he can run the whole country. Like, that's bananas, because she's talking about the pace of a campaign. But here's a newsflash about the presidency. You don't get to decide the pace of the presidency unless you're elected, but you're not even president at all. And that's the bigger problem right now, is what she's basically admitting is, yeah, he couldn't run a race, but he could be president, meaning he could be president in name only, and the rest of us could run the country behind his back. That's the admission there. That's legitimately what she's saying. And every single time we saw things get a little hairy under the Biden administration, what was the next image we saw? Joe Biden on a lounge chair somewhere in Delaware. That's how you knew things were going down at the White House. They had to go, hey, dude, here's a pail and a shovel. We need somebody to build some sandcastles by the Delaware shore. If you could head out there with Jill, we'd appreciate it. And away he went. That was his situation room. And that's what Kamala Harris is telling you in real time. And people that are watching this, because there's been so many debates, KJP's selling a book right now, proving you don't have to read them to write them. But KJP's out there right now saying the same thing. No, the guy's fine. Joe Biden, sharp as a tack. I mean, no, we've never seen somebody. I mean,
if you like Biden so much, name 3 of his complete sentences.
Nobody could name 3 of his complete sentences. Not when my son Lincoln recorded that at the age of 10. Not at this remote hour where we're still playing it 6 years later on the show. God, if that kid ever gets an agent, I owe him some big money for royalties. Good God, this show is over. Imagine. But stick with me here. Okay, because understand this. When you get a situation that's damaging to your brand and you just need it to go away, the last thing on earth you want are people talking about it on TV, people talking about it on social media. So KGP's out there having this debate every day. Kamala's having this debate every day. They took Joe Biden out, okay, to get this conversation started. He got that Ted Kennedy Award, which makes sense. I mean, he steered the country the same way Ted Kennedy drove a car, if we're being honest here. But the point is, when you look at what Trump is doing, meaning, hey, let's just go ahead and reopen the government, okay? There's a boxing adage. Trump was a boxing promoter for a long time. I'm not saying that he's living by this in this moment, but it would seem as such. Sometimes you'll hear a boxer tell you after a fight, you know, the guy hit me square in the jaw and just there was nothing on it. Like I knew I was going to walk through every punch. I wasn't scared of the guy. So it was really easy for me to take the fight to him, control the pace, cut off the ring, beat him up in the corner, and get out of there with the win. Okay, that's a thing in boxing. When a guy gets popped and realizes the guy doesn't have a lot of zip on the fastball, okay, you eventually walk right through their punches and just beat the snot out of them. I mean, go Google George Foreman beating up my man Joe Frazier. I love Joe Frazier. But, I mean, it was a bad situation. But it was just a doggy chew toy. You ever seen a dog just rough up a rubber ball or something? I mean, it's bad. But stick with me. Okay, Trump has been hit by literally everything. Okay, the dude has been hit by 91 criminal counts. He's been hit on a SWAT raid on his house. He's been hit by a bullet in his ear. Okay, hit by mugshots. He's been hit by multiple impeachments. He's been hit by a January 6th committee. Okay, literally everything. And the guy keeps walking through the punches because he knows they don't have anything. So the Democrats right now, they've shut down the government for about a month now. And I've played you 100 clips of them saying, well, it's our only leverage. We're the minority power here. Okay, this is the only move we can make right now if we want things to go our way. Flat out admitting, yeah, we know it sucks for you. But it's, politics. And then politics are more important than the people. I mean, that's basically the way they stand on pretty much every fork in the road we've hit in politics in the last 4 years. The politics are more important than the people. And we've had that conversation a lot around the border. We've had it a lot around COVID and school reopenings when the American Academy of Pediatrics was like, no, the kids are safer in the classroom. And the Democrats were like, no, they're not going. Trump wants them there. No. We're like, wait, what? But they said they're safer there. Shut up, Hitler. You're like, wait, what? That's racist. You're like, what's going on here? But that's what they did because they just wanted to get their way. But the point is, in doing everything on earth they could to get their way, to put the politics more ahead of the people, okay, they've kind of been exposed in that regard, which is why their poll numbers are where they are, and it's why Trump keeps taking the fight to him. Okay, they've hit him with everything known to man. He's not sitting here going, well, if Democrats don't want to reopen the government, we end the filibuster, nuclear option, we reopen the government tomorrow, and they all go on TV and say, I folded. What's actually going to happen? What's going to be the consequences to me? Nothing.
Bingo.
Because nobody takes them seriously anymore. And after 4 years of gaslighting the public over whether or not Biden was cognitively fit to serve and trying to sell us on the idea that he could do 4 more pretend years in office, okay, the most visible people in the media right now is the Democrat poll numbers are cratering and the government pretends, remains to be closed. Okay, they're still trotting out all the people who left us, in the lurch with the last administration. Okay, Kamala's all over your TV, KJP's all over your TV, Biden is all over your TV, and the only guy riding in to save the day and distract you is Gavin Newsom?
This guy's a serious ass.
I mean, that doesn't make anybody feel better. Gavin Newsom, okay, the guy who lost 300 businesses in the state of California. Playboy, opened in 1953, just left California. Do you know how much you have to suck for Playboy to pull its operations out of your state, guys? We've talked about this. Hugh Hefner never pulled out of anything in his life. Okay, but here he is cratering California as a guy who's simultaneously telling you he's going to run again in 2028, meaning not for governor this time, but for president. And the only guy leading him in the polls right now is Pete Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg is pathetic.
So you really think about where we find ourselves this Halloween. The Democrats are pretending to be a serious political party. That's the costume they have on. But after, I don't know, it's been about 10 years of them censoring jokes and telling us speech is violence and everything in between, it really does turn out to be that the party that couldn't take a joke actually became one.
Bingo, man, bingo.
She is a superstar, multimedia sensation. If you were out last night drinking and left the TV on, you probably saw her on Mornings with Maria this morning, depending on what time zone you're in. She was there for 3 hours, making it look easy. Emily Sturge in the house, and the crowd goes wild. Hey, girl.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Listen to me. You do not look like you were doing TV 7 or 8 hours ago.
I'll take the compliment. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep.
Stop it.
We both had very early wake ups.
Uh-huh.
So it's wonderful that we're both here.
But I'm giving, what I mean is like, you have joy in your face. Okay.
Well, I'm here.
No, you are. Well, thank you for that. I'll take that. But I just mean that, and this is really true. Like, I used to get on those shows, And the reason they stopped using me and not has nothing to do with waking up. I like waking up early as a cab driver. It's because if you put me on TV at 5 a.m. with this accent, I sound like a guy who's still out from the night before. Like people would be looking at my sport coat for like glitter on it or something. They're like, what is this guy doing? So you have the correct energy for that hour of TV. I mean, for any hour, to be clear, but I do not have that hour. Okay?
I appreciate it. I like late night too. That's when my brain turns on. That's when I'm ready to start chatting. It's 11 p.m.
That's right. There you go. Trace Gallagher, stuff like that.
I love doing his show that time of the day.
And you're great on Fox News Saturday night. I believe the last time you were on, you were drunker than a spring breaker.
I was not. I was spending my college spring break with you, and now it's Halloween. So I'd like to point out we get to spend all the fun holidays together.
We like to. It's like I got divorced and I have a young kid that I get one holiday with a year. Like, all right, you get Christmas.
It's just like the off holidays, though. It's spring break and Halloween.
That's pretty funny. Well, listen, I said this earlier. The Democrats are kind of dressed up as a serious political party right now, but it's not really working. There's so many clips. I was talking to you during the break. I don't know where to start. I know you heard the Jake Tapper thing. It was about Gen Z being more conservative. Those are your people.
They are.
Let me play the full original clip so the audience is up to speed, and we'll kind of build out from there. Clip 6.
I think Gen Z is going to be a lot more conservative. I think that just my experience knowing Gen Z kids, my kids and their friends and whatever, I sense much more skepticism of, and I think it is a reaction to Gen Xers and millennials forcing on them progressive views in school.
So Jake Tapper tells Reason that he thinks Gen Z will be more conservative because the schools have forced a lot of progressive ideology. You'd probably agree with that as someone who just graduated college, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I have to start off by saying every time I hear members of the media talking about Gen Z, it's just like they say the most obvious things, but they never invite a Gen Zer on to actually talk about it. Instead, they talk about us as if we're some foreign species, as if we're aliens. It's like the Democrats did their $20 million study on young men. Just go out and talk to young men. You can do that for free. I mean, Jake Tapper could have easily just bring me on the show. You know, I can tell you, Gen Zers lived through COVID. We were locked down. We didn't have high school prom. We didn't have graduation. We didn't have homecoming. We didn't have Friday night football games. All of that was canceled. Then we get to college and everything's DEI. Yeah, no wonder Gen Z shifted to the right in the November election.
And it's so true. And I think one of the big reasons why is that they didn't like persuade you. They were just like, no, this is what we're doing now. There's a guy in your locker room. Get over it. Yeah. Which was not persuasive. It was not, when you talk about diplomacy, there was none. It was just like, we've changed everything. Suck it up. And that probably naturally does alienate a lot of people, right?
Absolutely.
And when you look at like the war on someone like Riley Gaines, who was one of the first people to speak out. I'm sure you saw the AOC tweet this week. And then Jennifer Welch, who was, if you guys don't know Jennifer Welch, she was on Bravo, but she moonlights as a possum at the Bronx Zoo. She's just, it's not the best. But I want to play her clip because she's still going after forget even Riley Gaines. She's talking about attacking Charlie Kirk. Like, this is bananas. I'll play this for the audience so you can hear it. This is not on my Saturday night TV show tomorrow night because I hate playing things that upset people on a comedy show.
Right.
Like, you don't want to dig a 2-minute hole. You got to make these people laugh. And now they're like, I want to punch this lady, and we can't condone violence on this show, as everybody listening knows.
Never hit anyone in anger unless you're absolutely sure you can get away with it.
So here that is, clip 8.
Listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on board with this or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA. Period. Kudos to Bernie, to AOC, to Zoran. And that woman out in somewhere middle America saying, Charlie Kirk, he was a racist, he was a piece of There are so many more of us than there are of them.
Which, by the way, if there were so many more of you than there are of them, you wouldn't have lost the popular vote in all the swing states.
We need to stop giving people like this the spotlight. Nobody knew who she was until yesterday.
I know.
I was on Twitter yesterday. I kept seeing these clips, but nobody knew her name.
No, nobody. I know, and it's so funny. And this is what happens a lot on Twitter. It's like the people on the right will amplify something to make fun of it. And these people lean into it because there isn't bad publicity. Like, people now want to be hated by half the country because they feel like that automatically entitles you to being liked by the other half. But it's actually, if you're a patently unlikable human being, like that's a very unlikable person. Democrats, most of them that I know, are not going like, yeah, this is our gal. They're not doing that.
I don't know. Okay, let's go back to the Riley Gaines AOC feud. Riley Gaines is hated by people like AOC because she actually stands for something. She stands for truth. And Riley Gaines right now represents every single young conservative on a college campus, on social media. That's what it feels like. It feels like to be that one common sense voice, that one voice of reason, and then just these out of touch leftists attacking you constantly.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. We're talking to Emily Sturge from Campus Reform. We're having a grown-up conversation about the state of politics in this country. There's just this, and it's fascinating because I have this Pete Buttigieg clip I played earlier. Pete Buttigieg on a podcast with a guy who migrated to the country legally, who has a completely different take on what Trump's doing. And again, this is a big problem in the Democrat Party, is a lot of woke white people have decided they know what's better for minorities than the minorities do. Meaning, shit, I don't want to hear your opinion about your neighborhood. Even though I don't live there, I know things. I'm going to play this clip really quick again because it made me laugh so hard the first time I heard it. This is clip 4.
The worse it feels to be in this country, the better off Donald Trump is, whether he's running for president or whether he is president. And sending troops marching into the streets.
Can I just say, as the only immigrant right now on this podcast who immigrated here legally, I feel much safer and better under a Donald Trump presidency than I ever did under a Biden presidency. Just want you to hear it from my mouth for what that's worth.
Oh, God. Congratulations to that guy on never getting booked on the podcast with Pete Buttigieg again.
I mean, it's so nice to hear common sense. And the left's issue, of course, we know, is that they lecture. Nobody likes to be lectured. And that's exactly what we're hearing there.
It's so annoying. And you know what's funny? That was a subject over the summer when we were all talking during the general election, when Obama showed up and lectured black men and went viral because he was telling them they were misogynists and they had an obligation to support, as he called her, the sister. Well, as you know, in the Virginia's governor's race, Obama's not endorsing the sister. He's endorsing Abigail Spanberger.
No, it's such a fantastic point. And you know what? Okay, so Abigail Spanberger's team, they held a campaign event the other day at Virginia Tech. They went online, they bragged, over 100 people showed up, over 100 students. Wow, lots of momentum. Governor Glenn Youngkin went to campus a month ago. There was like 3,000 students there. So, the energy that we're seeing from young people in that state, I sure hope we see in the outcome of that election.
That would be amazing because they really are the casualty to all of this. Is that the people on the left keep leaning in further, especially in like Loudoun, where the school district is. The more people fight for some type of fair treatment of girls, they're like, oh, no. It went from we don't want boys in the women's room. They're like, whoa. Well, now you get sex offenders in the women. Like they've really kind of taken it a little far, wouldn't you say?
A little far. This party is defending creepy men in girls' locker rooms. They're defending Antifa terrorists. They're defending illegal aliens. I mean,
scary.
There's some scary stuff.
I know. I'm like, is anyone listening to themselves? And the answer is no.
They need an adult in the room.
Well, that happened. There was another funny clip that made me laugh so hard. Let me find it. It was Hakeem Jeffries. He's also just, as Charlemagne called him, Chuck E. Cheese Obama.
Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty funny. Let me find that one for you because that one killed me. He called him Chucky. It's right over here. 1 second. I got a lot going on the sheet today. I'm actually prepared. So he was talking on The Daily Show, Charlemagne, clip 12.
People are angry. So why is Hakeem Jeffries talking like he's Chuck E. Cheese Obama? Okay? What are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, man. Come on. Clearly, the Democrats don't have the leaders they need to meet the moment. Okay, fine. Anyone who is a fan of sports knows sometimes you need a rebuilding year. Okay, get some draft picks, develop young talent, and at some point, the old guys need to retire. LeBron.
Hey, but he calls him Chuck E. Cheese Obama, which is really kind of funny to me.
It is funny. It's just like Crooked Hillary was funny. Lion Ted Cruz
did its job.
What was Marco Rubio's?
Little Marco.
The
funny thing about Trump is like everybody who is prominently positioned in his life criticized him at one point.
Yeah.
You know, but that's who he is. If he thinks he can do the job, he doesn't care. He understands like the heat of political battle gets really ugly, you know. But I'll give you another one though, because this is the funniest one I heard. So Janelle Bynum, who is a representative in Congress on the Democratic side of the aisles, on C-SPAN last night.
Oh, yeah.
And she's trying to make an excuse for not reopening the government. She says, well, and we know this, and everyone will tell you this, it's a clean resolution. They voted on it 13 times. It's a resolution they've passed before. It's a Biden continuing resolution. The Democrats have supported this in the past, as you know. I'm just getting people up to speed.
Yep.
But her claim is that the reason the Democrats won't support it this time around is the Republicans keep putting poison pills in the bill.
She has no idea.
Except she can't name a poison pill because there isn't one in there. Listen to this. This is clip 30.
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you vote for it?
I disagree with your characterization and want to make sure that we're very clear about what Republicans have been doing. Any bill that they've put forth, they've always had some extra stuff to it. There's always been a poison pill to it. So I disagree with your characterization.
What were the poison pills of the clean CR or the continuing resolution? You say it's not clean, that was voted on in the House in mid-September.
Here's what's important. I think what you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to Democrats.
Some of these women, they're so...
I give credit to that reporter.
Yeah.
I'm so glad she asked that follow-up. Okay, so the thing about the government shutdown, Republicans have spent every single day talking about opening the government back up, but the Democrats are really enjoying their TV time, like a little bit too much. Day one, day two, first week or so of the Democrat shutdown, they were so focused on the Hakeem Jeffries sombrero meme and calling it racist. All of their airtime went to that. Week 2, week 3, outrage about the ballroom. Yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries is talking to the media saying that President Trump was punked by China. Extremely successful trip to Asia. No, they are...
It's all pretend.
It's all
Don't
pretend.
forget they did a week about him running for a third term and had a No Kings protest, even though we don't have one.
Yeah.
This is why you can't have nice things. Pete Buttigieg is on a liberal podcast with his fellow liberals, one of whom is of, I believe, Muslim descent, who migrated to this country. And Pete Buttigieg starts doing that white liberal thing, which is telling minorities how to live their lives, which is telling minorities that they know better for them than the minorities even know for themselves. That is how Zohran Mamdani is about to get elected. A bunch of woke white people from the Upper West Side of Manhattan have decided they know what's better for the black and brown New Yorkers who will live here when Mamdani gets sworn in, while all the woke white people go back to their other homes in the mansions in Greenwich, Connecticut, Martha's Vineyard, and of course the lovely Sag Harbor. But what'll happen is those white people who vote Mamdani in on some combination of, white guilt and, this, it really is this crazy moral superiority they have over the rest of us, but they do so believing that they know better. Like, do you remember when all the woke white people wanted to defund the police? Wasn't a lot of black people. Like, Black Lives Matter, yeah, they loved it because they got all the checks, and then they went and built mansions and hooked up their families and friends with money. Did they actually, start a defense fund for black people? Did they, invest in some type of tangible police reform? No. Black Lives Matter, BLM, stood for Buy Large Mansions.
That's true. That is true.
That's all they did. They made a lot of money, and they duped a lot of gullible woke white people in supporting a stupid movement that led to a 25% increase in the black murder rate. Thank you, woke white people.
Everything woke turns to...
But in a classic example of Pete Buttigieg telling everybody in the minority community that he knows better than they do, what I'm about to play you is a guy who brings up Trump's immigration policy and goes, actually, I feel safer now that Trump is in power than I did under Biden. At which point, Pete Buttigieg is so irate that he starts telling the guy he doesn't know anything. And it's not funny in the sense that you'd watch it and go, well, that's funny. It's funny in the sense that if you study people, like if you study human nature and stuff like that, what you're seeing is the frustrations of a people who don't actually like to engage in substance. So their only way to contrast differentiating viewpoints is to denigrate them and cut them down. That's how they got by. The last 10 years of identity politics was agree with me or you're a racist. Or if you don't agree with me and you're a minority, it's because you just don't know any better. How do you think they talk about Byron Donalds? Byron Donalds coming up later in today's show. Top of the third hour, Byron Donalds, hands off to Lincoln Fail. That's how it's going down. It's like the Bo Jackson, Marcus Allen years on the Raiders. But stick with me, okay? They trash Byron Donalds. They trash Wesley Hunt. They trash Tim Scott. Oh, listen, look at what they're doing to Winsome Sears. Winsome Sears running for governor of Virginia as a black conservative female. Think about that. Barack Obama spent the last election in a viral video scolding black men for misogyny, for not voting for a black woman. Well, you're not voting for the black lady because misogyny. But now what is Barack Obama doing? He's endorsing the white lady in the race against the black lady.
What a fraud.
Because it's not about how you identify in identity politics. It's about how you vote. Look at how the Democrats treated Caitlyn Jenner after she came out as a Republican. Okay, before she came out as a Republican, she was on the cover of Vanity Fair. She got an ESPN Courage Award. The day she went on The View and was like, by the way, I'm a Republican, the Democrats were like,
Get her out. Get her out of here.
Threw her right out. Right out. It's not about how you identify. It's about how you vote. Okay, and they got their way for a long time by just like pistol whipping people into compliance with all kinds of condescension and character assassinations and everything in between. Okay, do you remember when they called out in California during the Newsom recall, and they called my man the white face of black supremacy? And then when Nikki Haley was running for president, they said she was using her brown skin to launder white supremacy? I mean, come on, man.
Democrats are so full of crap.
But this one's great because someone pushes back on it. Normally when Democrats make attacks like this, there's nobody on the call, there's nobody on the TV set, there's nobody on the podcast to be like, actually, okay, but here's Pete Buttigieg getting a community note from a member of the minority community. It's a two-part series. Let's start here. Clip 4.
The worse it feels to be in this country, the better off Donald Trump is, whether he's running for president or whether he is president. And sending troops marching into the streets.
Can I just say, as the only immigrant right now on this podcast who immigrated here legally, I feel much safer and better under a Donald Trump presidency than I ever did under a Biden presidency. Just want you to hear it from my mouth for what that's worth.
So part 1, Chamath Palihapitiya is on the All In podcast. He's talking about his lived experience. Pete Buttigieg gets interrupted as he's saying, the worse it feels to be in the country, the better off Trump. What is he even talking about? Guys, inflation's down. They just cut interest rates again. Gas is down. Groceries slightly down. We'd like them to go down further. Okay, the border is secure. Toyota just announced they're building $10 billion worth of manufacturing plants in the country. The guy's bringing back trillions of dollars in capital investments. Just got China to start buying soybeans and cattle again. So say goodbye to the women on The View. They're out of here.
The View is awful.
But the point is, okay, no one should feel worse about life in America under Trump because things are at a substantive level exponentially better. Like, think about what we're fighting over. The Democrats are fighting over a ballroom that taxpayers aren't even paying for. Donors are paying for that. We're supposed to believe that's the big slight? 2 weeks ago, they had a No Kings protest. That's a pretend thing. We didn't have a king before the protest. We didn't have one after. That's supposed to be the big slight? Okay, they called the guy Hitler, but they fought him at every turn for Doge when he was trying to reduce the size of the government. I don't know what you know about Hitler, but he wasn't trying to make his government any smaller. He was trying to use it to conquer every other government in the world. Trump's kind of doing a reverse Hitler in that regard. But again, when all your arguments are pretend, you lose credibility with objective people. Are there Democrats still buying this? Yes, because politics is a team sport. There's a lot of people who just want to beat the Republicans. It's the Yankees and the Red Sox in the Northeast. If you're a Yankee fan, you're raised to hate the Red Sox. You're a Red Sox fan, you're raised to hate the Yankees. Okay, you're just going to hate them. Okay, those Democrats exist. Those Republicans exist. Believe me, I would say 40% of the country is that in this country right now. 40% of the country is just playing politics as a team sport, and they want to beat the other side no matter what. It might even be higher. But because he says to Pete Buttigieg, who's lecturing him about how the worse it feels to be in the country, the better off Trump is, Chamath says, can I just say, as the only immigrant right now on this podcast who immigrated here legally, I feel much safer and better under a Donald Trump presidency than I ever did under a Biden presidency. Just want you to hear that from my mouth, from what it's worth. I mean, Pete Buttigieg looks at him like...
somebody ought to belt you in the mouth.
Oh, he's so mad. Listen to the rest of the clip. He starts lecturing him. This is the part where he starts lecturing him about made-up stories about things ICE has done. And so, well, then you shouldn't feel safer. You say, you're not even entitled to that opinion because you don't know. Listen to this, clip 5.
Do you feel safer about the fact that a Latino doctor crossing the street in Washington, D.C. Is getting hassled or harassed because they're brown?
I don't think that I've heard that. No.
Okay, so you're not aware of any case in which a U.S. citizen who is...
Me, no.
Like you're
me, no. But I will tell you, for example, after 9/11...
Wait, you're on a podcast commenting about immigration. Surely you have some level of awareness.
Let me tell you, after 9/11, for example, for years I had SSS on my boarding passes. And I was pulled over constantly, and people probably thought that I was a Muslim hijacker. Mm-hmm. So I know what it feels like to be harassed. And what I'm telling you categorically is I feel safer in this presidency than I have ever felt. And I'm just letting you know that. It's just my lived experience.
I mean, that is so amazing. And Pete Buttigieg is like, I'm going to kick this guy in the nuts.
Pete Buttigieg is pathetic.
But did you see what he attempted to do there? Well, you're talking about immigration. Surely you must have some understanding of what's going on out there. No. Okay, he doesn't have that. The made-up understanding he doesn't have. ICE is not running around indiscriminately attacking people for being brown. Okay, that's such a gross mischaracterization of what this gig is. And again, if that's really what ICE represents, where was Pete Buttigieg when Barack Obama set the all-time record for deportations in 1 year? Because I got news for you. Vast majority of those people were brown. Okay, were Pete Buttigieg and the Democrats saying anything about ICE then?
The answer would be no.
Guys, ICE did the Obama deportations. They're doing the Trump deportations. Okay, do you notice, again, the politics, always more important than the people. They care about the immigrants. If they cared about the immigrants, they would have been barricading themselves into migrant facilities when Biden was president. But they weren't because they knew they couldn't legally be here. And we don't have the financial obligation to just fund anything that comes into this country illegally. Yeah, it's a country built on legal immigration. We're all in favor of legal immigration. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Okay, Emma Lazarus didn't write a second verse of the poem on the Statue of Liberty that said, and throw in the people who chant death to America and demand free stuff. Okay, that verse just ain't there. It's not. I've been to the Statue of Liberty a few times. I love the Statue of Liberty. I remember the movie Splash, when John Candy was throwing change on the ground and looking up women's skirts at the beginning of the movie. I mean, that's pretty much, I shared that physique with John Candy back in the day. That was pretty much him and me at the same time.
I swallowed a lot of aggression, along with a lot of pizzas. Pizzas.
But you understand, okay, the Statue of Liberty doesn't say, yeah, just give us whatever the hell you want. Legal, illegal, drugs, human traffickers, sex traffickers, coyotes, smugglers. We give it all. That's not the deal. It's just not the deal. So when Pete Buttigieg talks to someone who came here the correct way, meaning they migrated here legally, the reason he's getting pushback is twofold. One, yes, you probably feel safer under Trump than you do under Biden. You know what just happened in New York City down the block, Washington Square Park? Washington Square Park is basically where they got the extras for the Thriller video that Michael Jackson filmed in the 80s. You know, the people like live in manholes and come up with tattered clothes and are doing like a zombie walk in the background. That's Washington Square Park. And that has been Washington Square Park for as long as we have had a Washington Square Park. Like if you're trying to buy drugs in this town, you go to Washington Square Park, okay? If you want an easy hookup. I mean, Times Square is everywhere, but I'm just telling you in general, if you're visiting from out of town, you wanted a quick hookup, if I was a cab driver, I'm taking you to Washington Square Park, okay? And it's a different experience. Like you can tell how you look by how the drug dealers approach you. When I started here at Fox News, first time a drug dealer came up to me, he was like, yo, brother, I got coke, I got smoke, I got weed. I was like, whoa, party over here. Last time I was down there, he was like, yo, brother, I got Lipitor, I got Ozempic. I was like, wait a minute, what kind of vibe am I getting? How did I go from smoking pot to a neti pot? I have questions. But the point is, down in Washington Square Park, where it has been an open-air drug market, where there are people literally dying on benches and all kinds of cartel drug trafficking taking place. Do you know what happened last night? ICE rolled into the park in the middle of the night and cleaned out the whole frickin' thing. And do you know what that means? Little kids can ride big wheels again. Guy can have a catch with his kid. A girl can lay out and sunbathe. Not that these things weren't going on, but they were going on in plain sight of some real, like, societal debauchery. Like, just dead-end stuff. Okay, so if you are in this country, you probably do feel safer, give or take, in neighborhood, because they're trying to clean up all the bad ones right now. Ask anybody down in Memphis. Ask my buddy Ditch down in Memphis, okay, who's listening on the Roar of Memphis, how much safer things are now. Ask Muriel Bowser in D.C., who said, oh, this is police state Hitler stuff. And then everyone called her up and was like, actually, if we could keep the troops, we'd appreciate it. And they did. Okay, and they're trying to do that in Chicago, but they're fighting them and pretending it's not a big deal. Could you imagine your city leads the league in murders, and you're trying to convince people that Trump's the bad guy for wanting to get rid of them? That's why Pete Buttigieg, okay, came off as horrifically as he did on that podcast. Because a guy who's a migrant who came here for a better life saw the Democrats creating a situation where he wouldn't have one, where his citizenship and his legal migration wouldn't matter as much as it traditionally did. And he really learned to resent that, as did most legal immigrants. That's why they swung to Trump by 44 points in the last election. Think about that. 2016 election, 2020 election, Trump had 22% of the Latino vote. But by the time Democrats ruined the border, let everybody overwhelm the city and the school system and all the social infrastructure, okay, Latinos swung to Trump by 44 points.
Well, buenos dias.
Buenos dias.